more a question. What is with you and the draft and the affiliation of that with females being privileged?
So do you think it's not a privilege to not, wait, do you think, how do I frame this? Do you think it is not a privilege to not be subject to forced military conscription?
You're not going to like my answer.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that the draft was created by Henry Wilson, right? And
What?
like, yeah, it was like first created by Henry Wilson, a man, right? Ideology.
I'm not familiar with the draft, like specifically with the
United States draft,
but
yeah.
forced military
The
conscription.
forced military, yeah, like for men.
It wasn't
like,
invented in whatever year you think it. That's something that's gone on for all of human history.
No, for sure. I'm saying, and not invented like the term draft or.
Okay, so go
I'm
ahead.
saying the U.S.
All right,
draft
I'll
was
hear you out.
established. The U.S. draft, because in other countries they include women. There are countries that include women.
No, besides Israel,
I was gonna
women are
say
not.
Israel, yeah.
There might be a.
With that being said, my point is the implementation of the draft was created by a man, and I feel that it does treat women as though they are inadequate or unequal. More so, I would love to serve in the military. So I am
Hold on. Okay.
biased.
There's like a million different things there. So let me. I want to address those. So you said that it treats women. It views women as what again?
Incapable or inadequate.
Okay, so we'll start there. But,
Or in need of protection by men.
okay, so first let's just get this out of the way. Who's physically stronger, men or women?
Men. And the average weight of a man outweighs a woman, so.
Okay. And you said you would like to join the military. There's
would.
nothing preventing you from joining the military.
I've tried. I have to remove some tattoos.
Okay, well,
I think
well
it's-
that would apply to men too.
No, I'm not saying that like it's my gender is restricting me from
Well,
joining
that's
the
the-
military. I'm saying that I think it's unfair that women are not a part of the draft, but not because they are privileged. I think
I won't cut in for long. I just wanted to know, what was the gentleman's name that you cited as the creator of conscription in the United States?
Henry Wilson.
And then what year?
I didn't say a year.
Yeah, I know, but what year roughly?
I don't remember.
Henry Wilson is his name?
Henry Wilson. You can
Okay.
like check. Don't. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm not. Now that that's confirming, yeah. With that being said,
I mean, I see something about
also
he was a
like,
U.S. Born 1793, died 1872, was a U.S. Army officer who served in 5 wars and countless conflicts. I don't see anything about, unless this is, Henry Wilson.
instead of
perhaps
just Googling his name, perhaps Google like who imposed the draft in the U.S. It's that simple, and you'll see him.
we could, but I'm also
Yeah.
failing to see how it's at all relevant.
I'm just saying, like, it was a decision made by man. It's not
Well, it wouldn't
privilege
even
of women.
matter.
This is actually incorrect. Conscription happened long before Henry Wilson put in an official draft act.
When did it?
But
Well,
what's
we've
the?
had conscription since the inception of the nation, including the militia. So just letting you know that it is true that as far as an official draft act, no conscription had been going on in the United States for long before that.
I mean,
So what's your point? You're saying that, well, it's men who, a singular man.
I think a singular men on representation of at the time, like a Congress and just like
Okay, so
full of men. So men determined that we could not serve in the draft. We didn't ask for that. We are not privileged with that. That is a man-given law that is imposed on us. We don't have a say in that.
it's like so frustrating debating with you because like
You're welcome.
You don't really make a coherent point, but
If you say so.
Okay, so what is your point exactly?
My point was that you claim we are privileged because of that. I don't think we are. Furthermore,
What does it
there
matter?
are societal disadvantages that are proven between like men and women that
Such
we're still
as?
like The wage gap, of course.
That's been totally debunked. There is no wage gap.
There-
There's an earnings gap, and that's
Yes.
because men work different jobs and work more hours than women.
No, in the same,
Do you
like,
agree that
it's
men-
proven that,
do you-
like, male doctors make, like, 20 grand a year on average more than women.
What if they're okay? I haven't seen the specific
Okay.
data you're
Yeah, but
referencing.
that's due specifically to field. That's due specifically to field.
Yeah, what if they
That's
get into
why that
different
is
But that's
fields
a-
of
because
medicine?
a field
doctors
that they
are
can both get
fields,
in.
Hang on, because especially male surgeons are in fields specifically that pay far more. For instance, if you're a heart doctor versus a toe doctor or proctologist, you may get paid a lot more. That's why that's the case. When you break down by field, that is not the case.
I would have to look into that statistic. You may be right, I don't know. But I do know.
Here, let's bring it back to. I want to try to
Yeah.
move
Rewind.
the wage thing actually into the military. So,
Cool.
do you think women should be paid the same as men?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about, for example, in jobs where there's an expectation of having to lift heavy things or physically laborious jobs? Do you think, for example, in the military, men and women should be paid equally?
I think they should be paid equally and be given jobs that they are capable
So
of
why
and
is-
will excel in.
Why is it then, for example, when it comes to soldiers, when it comes to police officers, when it comes to firefighters, why are the physical requirements for women lower than for men?
I didn't know that.
They are.
I didn't know that.
If it was the case, far fewer women
That's an
would
interesting
get this
fact. I didn't know
affirmative
that.
action to actually even participate
I
in these
do
sorts
think
of jobs.
to like simplify it and to reference like one of your other shows though, I think it's as simple as
But
like
okay,
Andrew said.
hold on. Let me make this even way simpler.
Okay.
Let's say there's a job that says you need to carry 200 pounds from point A to point B, and that's just a straight line.
Yep.
And let's say that men are more physically capable of doing that job, and they can do it faster, and they can go back and forth more times in a given day. Do you think women should be paid the same as men, given that in a day, over the course of a day, they're going to perhaps have an output that's 50% that of men?
I think women should be paid the same as men, and I think people's work performance generally is constantly assessed, and if someone's underperforming, then that will be addressed. But more so, I also think, as Andrew and you have referenced in the past, we have guns like in the military, which, as you guys have said verbatim yourself, make equal men and women, or are the best. Like, I don't want to paraphrase Andrew, but he said something of thereabouts in like your last podcast. So like, both of them can shoot. I don't think
Yeah,
one
do
should be
you
paid
think
less
that,
than the other.
There's a
soldiers-
lot more to the military than just
I'm
shooting a
super
gun.
confused by
I
this.
agree.
Do you
I
think a
agree, but I
soldier's
think that they
duties
should
are
be paid
limited
the
to
same, and they
shooting?
have the same abilities, and they're capable of the same abilities.
Yeah, do you think that a soldier's duties are limited to shooting?
No, I think they go beyond that,
What-
and I think
then what-
there's jobs like that. People can, like, society suggests are more feminine oriented, like nurses in the military too.
No,
I think there's
back to this. Military, do you think that soldiers are limited to shooting?
No, I just
Or do you
answered that,
think
no.
that they have to carry large quantities of gear and be
Some
physically
do, yeah.
strong? No. I mean, anybody who's in combat is going to have to carry a
in
large
combat.
amount of gear.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I think like if you are
So
entering
aren't men going to be better at doing that than women?
carrying gear, I think the gear is.
Yeah.
I think you're heavily exaggerating the weight of that
No,
gear.
I don't
like,
think I'm
women
heavily
wear those
exaggerating
uniforms
anything.
all the time.
How much do you think on average a soldier carries in gear?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not one to guess weight or anything. I wouldn't know. But I know that women wear those uniforms and carry that gear. Not at the same amount,
Well,
but they do.
it's often 70 plus pounds.
Okay.
They're carrying all day, but it could be much heavier, upwards of 100 pounds. Do you think that men or women are going to be more equipped to do that on average?
I mean, like I said, like men are physically heavier, so they physically have a mass in which can carry more. But I don't think that up to 100 pounds is out of either grown person's like general ability.
Yeah, no, it is outside the purview of most women's abilities to
I can
carry
definitely
100
carry
pounds
100
around
pounds.
all day long.
And
Yes,
I'm sure I'm not the only
that
one
would
in this
be.
room that could.
What's that?
I could definitely carry 100 pounds, and I'm sure I'm not the only woman in this room that could.
Could you carry it around all day long?
Put me in a military suit. Let's find out.
I mean, do you think most women could?
I think the human body is capable of a lot of things. Yeah, I think the human body is very strong and very persevering and adaptive.
Well, if this is the case, then how come it is that women, when they go out for special services selection, have not been able to make the cut? And why is it that the infantry has had lower standards for women hang on, in order for women to pass the cut? Why are the standards lower for women with the physical requirements inside of the military?
I didn't know they were, so you're asking me a question that I already acknowledged. I was like, unaware of.
Well, it's the same thing with police. Hang on, it's the same thing with police. It's the same thing for most of those types of jobs. The standards, the physical standards, are less. They're less rigorous for women than they are for men. Why would you think that was, if you had to guess?
I would guess it's proportionate to like our average masses and our average like capabilities. Like, of course, and I'm not denying that.
I totally agree.
But I still think they're capable.
Yeah, so this would mean on average, so that men are far better suited for that role, right?
I mean,
so if you were in charge of having an armed services of the United States, and you were to have to choose between resources, how much are you going to allocate resources to the soldiers who are fighting in the battles versus the one who are supporting the fighters in the battle? And you were able to determine that one sex was far more capable at fighting the battles than the other. Which one would you allocate your resources towards?
You're saying this like the people that fight the heaviest get paid the most in the military, which isn't true anyway. So
no, I'm not saying it like that at all.
That's
I'm going to ask
how you're phrasing it.
Again.
It's not
so I'm going to ask
valid.
this question again. If you had to allocate resources between support roles and combat roles, and you found that one sex predominantly was far better at the combat role than the support role, which way would you allocate your resources?
You're saying this as if there's only two roles, and if your hypothetical is
no,
the only way,
I'm literally saying this as though there could be thousands of combat roles and thousands of support roles, but you find that one sex is dominant in the combat roles.
Okay, yeah.
And you have the resources.
And I'm not denying that.
Which way are you allocating them?
But there's so many other roles. Like, I'm not denying what you're saying. I'm agreeing. Like, yeah, like the roles that are better suited for like a higher tier of physical strength are going to be allotted to the higher biological sex's gender tier of physical strength, which is men. I'm not denying that.
Right.
But
so
you're still dancing around the point I made that there's so many roles.
For hours on end, for days on end, carrying huge amounts of gear, fighting day and night. You would allocate your resources towards men, right?
Okay.
Wouldn't you?
I already like agreed with that part. I'm just waiting for the punchline.
Well, the punchline, now that we've gotten through this, is to just say that, generally speaking, then, if you have to allocate resources, what kind of military you want, why wouldn't you try to make standards that towards men? That's going to make a better military, right?
I'm sorry, you gotta say that one more time. It did. The point didn't point. I'm sorry.
If you can allocate all of the resources of your nation towards a mostly male fighting force or a mostly female fighting force, which one will you do?
I already answered this. Answered this. To the combat force we just established, I guess combat is better suited if it requires heavier lifting than technically, physically for men. But combat, as I stated for
Did you say
multiple
combat?
times, combat
She would say
is
that.
not the only role in the military by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but every other role is to support people in combat roles.
Tell that to like Air Force officers.
They would tell you that people in support roles in the military know that their job is to support people in combat roles. That's the point.
Okay.
Why would that not be the point? The job of the American military is to kill our enemies, both foreign and domestic. All support roles are in the endeavor of supporting the people who do that killing on our behalf. That's what they're there to do. They're not there to do anything else but to kill the enemies of the United States, both foreign and domestic. That's it. That's their whole role, nothing but their role.
The military does other things besides just mass murder, but like, I hear you.
I didn't say mass murder. What are you talking? I said that their role is to kill the enemies of the United States, both foreign and domestic. That's their job. Their job's not to go hand out food at fucking soup kitchens. Their job is to kill the enemies of the United States. That's their job.
They have various jobs. We're not in the military to speak on their jobs. They get special missions all the time that we can't even like fathom, that are in order to retrieve items and things of that. Like, we can't speak on that. You're not in the military to even
Can I just
What
interrupt?
does that have to do with anything? Like, what is that? Who cares? Their secret
There's
missions are all there
so many
and designed
roles
to
the
assist
military.
in people who are in the
can I
roles
just
of
say
killing
one
the
thing?
enemies of the United States. That's their job. Literally, that's their job.
I don't mean to interrupt, but if everyone in this table did jujitsu, you wouldn't
What
question.
the fuck, bro?
Let me just say, you would not question how physical guys are versus ladies. You wouldn't question their strength.